gentle buds, Losey is back with another review, continuing with the South Park post-COVID special called The Return of COVID. When I looked back on the last review I did on this two-parter, I noticed that all I did was retelling the plot and not give much critique. So I'm sorry. So for that, I have my own receipts this time on what I like and don't like about it. Let me remind you that this is going to contain spoilers, unless you don't have the time to watch the show and you're probably walking your dog was crapping on your neighbor's yard on purpose, just to piss them off. So, let's carry on with the review then. Let's start off with the plot. We get to see flashbacks on how they first heard of the pandemic and how their lives affected them since then. In the present, a new variant came out called the Kenny McCormicron, because of the recent Omicron variant. As established, Carmen wants to prevent going back in time because he cared a lot for his family, and he believes he doesn't see the point in alternating the past. Whereas Stan, Kyle, and the others are finding clues to go back in time to stop the pandemic from happening. Randy believes that the sprout of weed can help people through those hard times. Wendy explains that the time machine would be operated if commanded by Kenny or Victor, and that time travel would work with aluminum foil. Twig and Craig ran out to find aluminum, whereas Stan and Kyle went to the insane asylum to visit Victor Chow's. And who would have guessed that it is Butters? What a shock! As it turns out, he has been grounded for so many years. Basically, Butters stayed inside the house since the pandemic and even after. His parents grounded him and they went out for a movie but didn't came back. Throughout the years, Butters started getting into NFTs. He would explain how NFTs work and how anyone can buy any form and own it. In essence, Butters is a crypto marketer. Kyle gave Butters a piece of paper that contains information that Butters had done business with Kenny. Meanwhile, Carmen created a foundation in the church to overturn the time travel plan and hid his family in the attic. Not to nitpick, but they have used the same joke back in season 12, where the town banned cats to stop the cheesing problem, and Carmen hid his cat in the attic and gave him a diary. In this one, his daughter's holding a diary. Trey, Matt, don't kill the joke, please. Twig and Craig went to the church to ask Scott if he has aluminum, but Carmen tricked them by hanging and tying them upside down. Butters escaped from the asylum and started convincing people to invest in NFTs, in which eventually caused a massacre in a hotel. Meanwhile, Wendy and the others were trying to call someone because they need more power to fuel up the time machine, in which the caller agrees, but only if everyone was vaccinated. As aforementioned in the previous review, Clyde didn't want to get vaccinated because of his belief that he would grow boobs from someone who claimed to be experts. Stan went on to mope around about how the future is terrible and starts drinking because he believed this would help him. Honestly, it's sad to see because he started drinking when he was 10. Back in season 15, after his parents remarried, Stan began drinking a sip of alcohol every single morning. It's like no matter what, the future's always going to be shitty, in which his Alexa didn't approve of. Alexa would insult him and scold at him for not opening up to his friends. Eventually, Kyle bought an Alexa of his own to test it out. Clyde sees Carmen and was manipulated into joining the club. Carmen made a change in plan, even though it contradicts his statements. He wants Clyde to go back in time to kill Kyle. At the same time, Clyde told Carmen that Butters has something to do with all of this. Carmen found him and recruited him as a weapon to stop Kyle and his friends. Carmen took Butters with him to Wendy, Token, and the others. Back at the bar, Kyle gets a call from Wendy saying they don't have to worry and that Butters is there. Kyle tries to warn them that Butters is dangerous. Carmen says something in Hebrew in the call which stuns Kyle. I don't know what he says, but this alarms Stan and Kyle, and they went back to the lab. Before that, Kyle angered his Alexa by accident, and this happens. What the fuck? When they arrived at the lab, they noticed Wendy and her friends were brainwashed and were investing more NFTs. Wendy's weed are gone, and the time machine is missing, which means Carmen stole it. I mean, what else can he do? Stan and Kyle healed their friends, and Wendy explained that Kenny doesn't want to go back to the start of the pandemic, but to March of 2021, the time the vaccines are being given out. Stan and Kyle went to the church. Clyde is already sitting in the time machine. Butters approaches them by Cartman's demand as attempt to distract them but failed. Butters got sidetracked with Stan and Kyle's Alexis. Now, this is honestly one of my favorite scenes I've ever seen by far. Why? Because we get to see Kyle and Cartman get into a physical fight! I was fangirling watching the two throwing hands. I'm shocked that Cartman manages to fight back because when his classmates would hit him, he would back down and cry. But in this case, he's defending himself. You know when I said in my last review that Cartman may be messing with Kyle? Well, this convinced me that he's a changed man. He got a job as a rabbi, he's very genuine, and he has a family of his own. Cartman's wife interrupted the fight saying that she doesn't want this and that Cartman changed since he saw his friends again. Cartman understandably tears up because he truly loves his family but decides to go in love with Kyle's plan. But his youngest son, who's a small little baby, pulled the lever, which took Clyde back in the past. Stan, Kyle, and Cartman follow along, wearing in tinfoil, and sees Clyde pointing the gun at young Kyle at the bridge. Cartman stopped him by shooting him dead. Even though the plan went accordingly, it still haven't changed their friendship. So instead, they went to their classmate named Heather, who they blackmailed her over a picture of her passing gas during gym class. In the end, the friendship has been restored by being taken to a Denver Nuggets game, in which they apologized to each other. Everyone in town started to say sorry, including the makers of Space Jam 2, and the mob of Trump supporters apologizing for the raid in the Capitol. Honestly, I find it so hilarious. It's like, yeah, we may have damaged federal property and we may already have a criminal charge, but we don't make mistakes. The last thing we get to see is the future looking a lot better. Butters is a waiter at a Denny's. Stan came back from Mars. I came to visit his family. Kyle has children. Kenny is alive and well. Shelly and Sharon are alive, and Cartman, he's homeless. This actually shocked me, but I'll explain later, and that's the end of the special. Now that I explained the plot, I have some things to say about it. Adult Ike's design looks clean. Timmy can finally walk and talk in full sentence. Jimmy can make offensive jokes without anyone being a prissy about it. Sharon and Shelly aged very well. I love how they poked fun of the fact Space Jam 2 happened, because the way I see it, it's nothing than a nostalgic exploitation. The mob at the Capitol is fucking hilarious, but fight scenes are so badass. Including Tokens. I mean, all I could think of when watching his fight against those doctors is like watching Michael J. White, who is a martial artist. I find the conflict to be compelling because we have two sides on this. One party wants to go back to alter the past to make the future a lot better, whereas the other party sees no point in even trying. Their argument is that you can't change the past. Whatever happened, happened. I find it very sad that Cartman sacrificed his bright future for his friends and then end up on the streets, drunk and insulting them. I thought he would be a mechanic freezing in the cold or something, but seeing him like this is depressing, but reality has bit him in the ass. If you think about it, Cartman is an ignorant, racist, selfish scumbag who only pretends to be nice to get his way. He thinks everyone should do things for him. He had treated his friends like shit, including his own mother. He fed his half-brother his own parents. He was selling vaporizers to children. He trapped Butters in the bomb shelter so he could go to Kyle's party. He got Butters to be beaten, gave Kyle his HIV, and the list goes on and on. But for his alternate self, I feel sympathy for him. The Max and Plus jokes adds to the charm of the special, but I think it's been dragged out long enough. The NFT jokes are there, but for me, I'm too stupid to understand NFTs and cryptocurrency, but I somewhat know the basics of it. So the jokes for me are pretty foreign, but I'm sure it's funny to some of you. The ending felt rushed, and I thought there's gonna be a 3-parter, and it just feels like they mashed it up at the last minute. Overall, I think the special has done its job. Anyways, that concludes my review. This is my last video of 2021 since I'll be going to Mount Everest to cryogenically freeze myself for a new console to come out, and it's the Nintendo Wii Plus Max. Other than that, happy holidays ladies and gentlebuds, and have a great new year.